Breakfast Confidential, an investigation into what life is like for the chickens at one of the biggest egg producers in the country, raising new questions about the most important meal of the day.
If you open a refrigerator almost anywhere in America, there is a good chance you will find the same thing sitting on a shelf: a carton of eggs. It is one of the most ordinary foods in the country. People fry them for breakfast, boil them for lunch, bake them into cakes, mix them into noodles, pour them into sauces, and use them in thousands of packaged foods without giving the process much thought. An egg feels small, clean, familiar, and almost too simple to be interesting. But behind that shell is a giant machine of land, grain, breeding, hatcheries, barns, conveyor belts, refrigerated trucks, and workers moving on tight schedules every day of the year. That is what makes the American egg industry so fascinating. On the surface, it sells one of the simplest foods you can imagine. But underneath, it runs one of the most organized and industrialized production systems in modern agriculture. For years, people have talked about America producing 97.3 billion eggs a year, and even that older number sounds unbelievable. But the latest USDA summaries show the country produced about 109 billion eggs in 2024 and about 105 billion in 2025. That means the scale today is even larger than the number in the title suggests. In 2024 alone, table egg production reached 93.1 billion, and the average number of layers during the year was around 375 million birds. So when people ask how Americans produce so many eggs every year, the answer is not one simple trick. It is not just big farms. It is a whole chain. It starts with breeding and hatcheries. It depends on grain and soybean production. It relies on genetics, lighting, ventilation, disease control, packaging systems, and national transport networks. And above all, it depends on consistency. Because the American consumer does not want eggs only sometimes. Stores need them every week. Restaurants need them every day. Food manufacturers need them in bulk. The system only works because it keeps moving. The first thing to understand is the scale of the flock itself. The United States maintains hundreds of millions of laying hens, and commercial farms are heavily concentrated in states with strong agricultural infrastructure, especially Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Industry data from United Egg Producers says the U.S. ended 2024 with about 311 million commercial laying hens, while USDA's broader annual summary showed an average of about 375 million layers during that year across the full system. Either way, the picture is the same. The country depends on a bird population so large that it is hard to visualize. And each hen, on average, is extremely productive. United Egg Producers says an average laying hen now produces about 301 eggs per year, while the USDA's 2024 summary puts annual average production per layer on hand at about 290 eggs. That level of output is the result of decades of breeding, nutrition, disease prevention, and flock management. That productivity did not exist in the same way in the past. The egg industry changed over many decades as chickens were brought indoors. Housing systems became more controlled, feed became more precise, and breeders selected birds for much higher laying performance. United Egg Producers notes that in earlier decades, hens might lay about 150 eggs a year, while modern commercial hens can produce roughly twice that. That one fact tells you almost everything you need to know about modern food production in America. The system has been engineered not just to raise animals, but to turn biology into a reliable industrial output. But before a hen can ever lay an egg for the market, the process begins much earlier in hatcheries. These places do not feel like old-fashioned farms. They feel closer to a laboratory mixed with a warehouse. Fertilized eggs are placed in large incubators where temperature, humidity, and airflow are tightly controlled. Machines rotate the eggs on schedule so the embryo develops correctly. At certain stages, eggs can be scanned to remove those that are not developing properly. In other words, from the first stage of life, the system is already designed to remove variability. Large-scale egg production cannot afford too much uncertainty. Uniformity matters. Timing matters. Survival rates matter. Hatcheries are one of the hidden thousands upon thousands of chicks hatch in closely managed cycles. Everything is timed because the next phase of the system is waiting. Feed schedules, transport plans, farm space, labor, and growth programs all depend on chicks arriving when they are supposed to arrive. In a small backyard flock, a delay may be a minor inconvenience. In industrial production, a delay can cause problems across an entire chain. And this is also the stage at which one of the industry's most difficult ethical questions arises. In commercial egg production, male chicks from laying strains do not produce eggs, and they are generally not efficient enough for meat production compared with broilers bred specifically for meat. That reality has made chick sexing and male chick culling a major concern for critics of the industry. It is one of the clearest examples of how efficiency can collide with public discomfort. The hatchery may look clean and technical, but it is also the point where industrial logic becomes impossible to ignore. From the hatchery, the birds move into growing facilities and then into housing designed for egg production. This is where the public image of the industry becomes more familiar. Long barns, feed lines, water systems, belts, cages or cage-free structures, and rows of birds maintained under carefully controlled conditions. What many people do not realize is that housing systems are now one of the most debated parts of the business. For a long time, conventional cage systems dominated because they were efficient, predictable, and easier to manage at scale. But over the last decade, public pressure, ballot measures, retailer promises, and corporate sourcing commitments have pushed the industry toward more cage-free production. United Egg Producers and related reports have documented this transition, although conventional systems still represent a large share of the total. That shift matters because it changes the economics of production. Cage-free systems generally require more space, different layouts, different sanitation plans, and often different labor and management demands. Supporters say they allow more natural movement and better welfare outcomes in some respects. Critics point out that the systems can also create other challenges, including flock management complexity, costs, and disease considerations. The important point here is not to pretend the debate is simple. It is not. The egg industry is under constant pressure to produce food that is affordable, safe, and available in huge quantities, while also responding to changing social expectations about how animals should be kept. Whatever the housing model, feed is the engine that keeps the entire system alive. Hens do not produce eggs from nowhere. They convert energy and nutrients into shells, yolks, albumin, and body maintenance. That means the egg industry is tied directly to American field crops. Corn is a major energy source in feed. Soybean meal is a major protein source. Minerals and vitamins support shell strength, laying rate, and bird health. This is why the egg aisle in a grocery store is connected, indirectly but very powerfully, to cornfields, soybean acreage, fertilizer costs, trucking, diesel prices, and the weather across the Farm Belt. USDA's Economic Research Service notes that U.S. poultry holds a leading market position because of factors such as competitive production structures, modern genetics, and abundant domestic feed resources. In other words, the American egg system is only possible because the country can also grow and move enormous amounts of feed. Once hens reach laying age, the pace becomes relentless. Egg production is not a seasonal curiosity in the way some people imagine. It is a daily output system. Eggs are laid, collected, cleaned, sorted, packed, and shipped in a flow that repeats without pause. important forces shaping egg prices, supply, and flock size in the United States. USDA APHIS has tracked widespread detections in commercial and backyard flocks since 2022, and the consequences have been enormous. When avian flu hits a flock, the results can be devastating. Production drops, birds die or must be depopulated. Replacement takes time. Prices move quickly. The system may be massive, but it is still vulnerable to biology. That is one of the most revealing truths about industrial agriculture. A machine that looks unstoppable can still be shaken by disease. The yearly production totals reflect that pressure. USDA's 2024 summary reported 109 billion eggs, down 1% from the previous year. The 2025 summary reported 105 billion eggs, down 4% from 2024. Table egg production also fell from 93.1 billion in 2024 to 90.1 billion in 2025. Those are huge numbers either way, but even a few percentage points matter when a whole country depends on steady output. That is why avian flu is not just a farm problem. It becomes a supermarket problem, a restaurant problem, and eventually a political problem when consumers feel the price shock. At the same time, eggs are only part of the broader chicken story. The same national poultry infrastructure also supports enormous meat production. Broilers, which are chickens bred specifically for meat, are managed very differently from laying hens, but they reflect the same industrial priorities: fast growth, predictable performance, large volume, and efficient processing. USDA data for late 2024 showed young chickens for slaughter averaging about 6.61 pounds live weight in December. That number captures how specialized the poultry business has become. Egg lines and meat lines are no longer just chickens in a general sense. They are products of highly focused breeding and management systems built for different markets. Inside processing plants, that specialization becomes even clearer. Plants are built to move birds through defeathering, evisceration, chilling, cutting, packing, and shipping in carefully sequenced steps. To some people, these scenes are impressive because of their efficiency. To others, they are uncomfortable because they expose the industrial reality behind cheap protein. Both reactions are understandable. What matters is recognizing that eggs and poultry meat are part of one wider story. America has built food systems designed to produce enormous quantities at prices many consumers can still afford. That affordability is one reason the industry remains so important economically. USDA's Poultry Production and Value 2024 summary put the value of all egg production in 2024 at about $21 billion, up from $17.9 billion in 2023. USDA ERS also reported total poultry sector sales at $70.2 billion in 2024. These are not side businesses. They are major components of the national agricultural economy, tied to labor, transport, feed, energy, packaging, retail, and exports. When egg production rises or falls, it is not happening in isolation. It affects a very wide economic network. Still, no serious look at the egg industry is complete without addressing the criticism. Welfare groups question housing density, confinement, beak treatment practices, flock management decisions, and the ethics of male chick culling. Environmental critics point to manure, resource use, and the concentration of animals in limited spaces. Disease outbreaks raise questions about resilience, and many consumers simply feel uneasy once they see how standardized and industrial the whole process really is. The egg industry can argue reasonably that it feeds a nation, relies on food safety systems, and has improved bird productivity through better health and nutrition, rather than just brute force. But it cannot escape the fact that this abundance comes with trade-offs. That is partly why technology is becoming so important to the industry's future. New systems are being developed to monitor flock health more closely, manage air and temperature more precisely, and use data to detect problems earlier. Researchers and companies have also worked on in ovo sexing or other pre-hatch sex determination techniques to reduce the need for male chick culling. None of these changes will magically solve every ethical or economic problem, but they show where the industry is heading: more automation, more data, more biological control, and more pressure to consumers are shaping that future too. Labels like cage-free, organic, pasture-raised, and omega-3 enriched have turned the egg aisle into something more segmented than it used to be. Buyers now expect not only availability and price, but also some story about how the egg was produced. That may be driven by welfare concerns, health beliefs, or simple marketing, but either way, it changes the business. Producers now operate in a world where they must think not only about flock performance and feed cost, but also about public trust. And maybe that is the most surprising part of this whole story. Eggs feel old-fashioned. They feel basic. But the modern American egg system is one of the clearest examples of what agriculture has become in the 21st century. It is scientific, centralized, highly optimized, and deeply connected to broader systems most consumers never see. A carton of eggs is not just a farm product. It is the final stop in a chain that includes genetics, hatchery timing, housing design, feed formulation, disease surveillance, grading systems, packaging technology, trucking routes, refrigeration, retail planning, and consumer demand. So the next time someone asks how Americans produce nearly 100 billion eggs every year, the real answer is this. They do it with an enormous machine built from biology and logistics. They do it with millions of hens selected for output. They do it with grain grown far from the egg aisle. They do it with hatcheries, barns, sensors, belts, workers, and trucks. They do it in a system strong enough to feed a nation, but fragile enough that a virus can still throw it into chaos. And that is why the humble egg is more than breakfast. It is one of the clearest windows into how modern America feeds itself. And maybe the most interesting part of all of this is how invisible the system